女士们、先生们，欢迎参加上海纽约大学2025届本科生毕业典礼。典礼还有5分钟就要开始了，请您尽快就座，并确保手机已调成静音或震动，非常感谢。
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NYU Shanghai's 2025 Commencement Ceremony. The ceremony will begin in 5 minutes. Please take your seats and ensure your mobile devices are silenced or set to vibrate.
女士们、先生们，欢迎来到上海纽约大学2025届本科生毕业典礼。让我们热烈欢迎来自诺达双语学校的风笛与鼓乐队奏乐开启入场仪式。
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NYU Shanghai's 2025 commencement ceremony. Please join us in welcoming the NACIS Pipe Band to lead our procession.
女士们、先生们，有请我们的吉祥物2位麒麟，开启上海纽约大学之门，热烈欢迎上海纽约大学2025届毕业生入场。
Ladies and gentlemen, we now ask our Qiling mascots to open our university doors to welcome the NYU Shanghai graduating class of 2025.
女士们、先生们，接下来入场的是上海纽约大学教授代表，让我们热烈欢迎。
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the faculty representatives of NYU Shanghai.
女士们、先生们，接下来入场的是主席台成员，包括上海纽约大学领导、纽约大学领导、华东师范大学领导、学生代表以及典礼嘉宾，让我们热烈欢迎。
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the platform party, including the leadership of NYU Shanghai, New York University, East China Normal University, student representatives, and distinguished guests.
女士们、先生们，让我们欢迎上海纽约大学校长童世俊先生、常务副校长雷蒙先生共同开启上海纽约大学2025届本科生毕业典礼。
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome NYU Shanghai's Chancellor Tong Shijun and Vice Chancellor Jeffrey Lehman to open the 2025 commencement ceremony.
各位同学、各位家长、女士们、先生们，欢迎大家来到上海纽约大学2025届本科生毕业典礼的现场。
We welcome you all to these commencement ceremonies at which we recognize the 2025 graduates of NYU Shanghai.
全体起立，奏中华人民共和国国歌。Should we take off?
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthem of the United States of America. Please be seated. Now, please join me in welcoming the Provost of NYU Shanghai, Joanna Whaley-Cohen.
Chancellor Tong, Provost Dopico, Vice Chancellor Lehman, colleagues, distinguished guests and friends, and parents, please join me in saluting our great students of the class of 2025. Dear students, on behalf of the whole NYU Shanghai community, from the bottom of my heart, I offer you warmest congratulations upon your graduation. We are really, really, really proud of you for reaching this glorious moment. This year, as I myself prepare to graduate from NYU Shanghai, I have been reflecting on generational differences and on how much we all learn from one another. How do the experience of each generation affect our approach to life and our attitude towards the generations that precede and follow us? How can we learn from one another across generations? And what changes as we ourselves move from one generation to another? Today, I want to talk about the threads that bind us in the present to both the past and the future, and how we can continuously learn from that connection and help others to do the same. These threads pertain to all of us in the multiple contexts in which we all exist. They connect us as members of a family in which we are descended from our ancestors and linked to those who follow. They connect us as a community of learners in which we learn from one another and pass on what we have learned to each other. For instance, professors don't just teach students, but also themselves learn from students. The threads connect us as representatives of a particular culture, or more than one culture, living as we do in multicultural communities. They connect us as beneficiaries of various kinds of social change who ourselves will set trends for the future. And they connect you as members of a graduating class who follow in the footsteps of 8 classes of NYU Shanghai students and set the pathways for the classes who are yet to come. Generations are intertwined like threads in a tapestry that bind us all together, despite the claim that the lesson of history is that there is no lesson of history. Those generational threads are spun from the experiences of those who came before us, the threads of the stories, the struggles, and the wisdom of the past, which have been woven with care, sometimes with regret, and always with hope for the future. That future awaits us like an unfinished tapestry still on the loom for us, here, now, in the present, to weave. It is through our hands, through our choices, and through our imaginations that the threads will carry us forward. We are here neither to cut ties with the past, nor to cling to the past so tightly that we cannot move on. We are here to carry it onward, reworking, reimagining, repairing where needed, and to stitch our own new bright patterns into the fabric of what is to come. I would like to reflect briefly on how generational differences show up in different ways, especially in how we understand time and space and how we interact with one another. When it comes to time and space, you can really see generational differences in how people experience them. This is perfectly expressed in the opening lines of Zhang Ailing's great Shanghai novel, Half a Lifetime's Romance, Ban Shen Yuan, which reads like this. Time does fly for the middle-aged. A decade whips by in the blink of an eye, a flick of the fingertips. When you're still young, even 3 or 4 years, maybe 5, can seem an entire lifetime. Perhaps you agree with that, or perhaps you do not, or perhaps you aren't sure. But I'd like to suggest that we can both agree and disagree with that idea simultaneously. For instance, thinking back to what may have been one of the defining experiences of your college years, in other words, the pandemic. Doesn't it seem like just yesterday that we were quarantining and masking and testing seemingly endlessly? And yet at the same time, doesn't it just seem like a distant and almost unreal memory that you can hardly believe actually happened? And looking forward to graduation and the next chapter of your lives, doesn't it seem in one moment like a distant aspiration, and in the next moment it comes galloping towards you, and here it is? Another way of thinking about this is in terms of the speed in which we can communicate across vast distances, and how much that has changed with new technologies. Back in the 18th century, 300 years ago, it could take 2 years for European missionaries at the court of Beijing to receive a response in request to guidance from the Pope in Rome. Their letter had to make the weeks-long journey from Beijing to Guangzhou, to be carried to Europe on a ship when it left, which might take 9 months to reach port and then be delivered. And then, after carefully considering his reply, the Pope had to send it all the way back the same way, which could take another year. And by the time the answer reached Beijing, it was often, well, outdated. And then telecommunications revolutionized everything. First through the telegraph and the telephone and radio and television, and later with the internet. In the 1930s, for example, the King of England was able for the first time directly to address people of the Commonwealth all around the world, reaching not just the United Kingdom, but Canada and Australia and New Zealand and elsewhere. Just imagine what that must have felt like at a time when weeks-long ocean travel was still quite routine, and even by airplane, it still took days to fly across the world. In the 1980s, when I was living in Beijing doing dissertation research, when I wanted to call home, I had to place a call and wait for a call back, which usually took at least a couple of hours, sometimes longer. And now we have our mobile phones and can chat across the world whenever and whenever we want to. We can stream a movie when we're on the subway. We can run a seminar with participants in 5 continents, and we can stream a graduation ceremony all across the world. And this profound shift in how we experience time, space, and distance has quietly transformed our whole understanding of the world and our place in it. And those changes undoubtedly will continue. When it comes to how different generations interact, there's no shortage of opinions about what each one thinks about the other. It is probably true to say that every generation thinks that its own experiences, both good and bad, are unprecedented. We're all convinced that nothing like our own experience ever happened to those who came before us, and that those who follow will never have quite the degree and the quality of wisdom that we ourselves have gained from our own experiences, nor the same skills for dealing them. The American writer Mark Twain put it aptly when he famously wrote, "When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant that I could hardly stand to have the whole old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in 7 years. I wonder how his children felt about him as they grew up." Just as we exist in multiple contexts at once, we also belong to multiple generations simultaneously. The generation gap works in both directions, for while we may sometimes feel scorn for older generations, we ourselves are always morphing into the very generation that we once scorned. But as we join that older generation, we may still feel like children in the presence of elders, as, for instance, the great Chinese poet and cookbook author Yuan Mei, who wrote regarding his mother, "Long after my own hair was gray, she went on treating me as though I was a child. When I went to her room, she never failed to give me a sweetmeat or a slice of melon to make sure that if it was hot, that I was not too warmly dressed, or if it was cold, that I was well wrapped up, and to satisfy herself that I was getting wholesome things to eat and drink. I, of course, played up to her view of me as a small child and ended up quite forgetting that I was a battered old man. Indeed, it was not until I lost her that I fully realized I was a man of 62. This cycle of becoming, of watching roles reverse and perspectives shift, is precisely what you have experienced these past 4 years and will continue to experience. And as you transition from freshman to senior, from undergraduate to graduate, from student to teacher, and from mentee to mentor, you will become the generation to which the next generation looks up for guidance and example, even as you continue to look up to the generations that preceded you. The generations are woven together by a single thread, just as Confucius taught us, and you have learned here. Understanding comes from learning a wide variety of things and then tracing the threads that connect them all. In short, wisdom begins when we acknowledge our interdependence, the ties that bind us across generations, linking past, present, and future in one continuous journey, onward, upward, always. So, class of 2025, as you go forth into the next phase of your lives, continue to listen and learn across generations, knowing that receiving and transmitting wisdom will help to create a richer and better world for us all. As the American-British poet T.S. Eliot wrote, "For last year's words belong to last year's language, and next year's words await another voice, and to make an end is to make a beginning." Congratulations, class of 2025. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce NYU Provost Georgina Dopico.
Thank you, Provost Whaley Cohen, and good morning, class of 2025. I bring warm greetings and hearty congratulations from NYU Chair of the Board of Trustees, Evan Chancellor, and NYU President Linda Mills. They had hoped to be here in Shanghai with you today, but unfortunately were both needed back in New York. It is an honor for me as the Chief Academic Officer of NYU to be able to offer you my own words of congratulations. As NYU Shanghai students, you've had a very special NYU experience. You've enjoyed at least 3 years of study here on this remarkable campus, a study that is distinctive for its focus on nurturing your effectiveness as members of multicultural teams. And you've enjoyed the opportunity to study at 1 or 2 other locations within the NYU Global Network. Be proud of your NYU education. Remember all you have learned here. Use it where and when you can to make this world better and more just. And now, as you graduate, you're becoming alumni of New York University. You'll discover that this also is a very special experience, one that lasts more than just 4 years, but a whole lifetime. You'll be joining a community of 700,000 people all around the world. It's a large community and at the same time an intimate one. Every time you meet another Violet, you'll feel a familial tie. You know you share something deep and important, and you'll help each other. On behalf of NYU, I encourage you to stay close to your university, stay close with NYU Shanghai, stay close with NYU New York, and the entire global network. You will feel the benefits of community. And all of us will delight in your continued membership in the NYU family and in seeing all that you will accomplish, class of 2025. And now it is my privilege to introduce the 2 student speakers who will be addressing you this morning. Our 2 student speakers. Sam Komanowski is from San Francisco and is graduating with a double major in Global China Studies and Business and Finance. At NYU Shanghai, Sam took on leadership roles both inside and outside the classroom. He organized food group orders for hundreds of students during the Shanghai lockdown, and he served as Chief Marketing Officer for On Magnolia Square, the student newspaper. After graduation, he will continue his studies at Peking University. Xiaoyan Rui hails from Chengdu and is graduating with a degree in interactive media arts. Through her time at NYU Shanghai, she bridged cross-cultural and intergenerational divides. In the Home Story Project, she worked with a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist to preserve the voices of Chengdu's tea house elders through storytelling. After graduation, she plans to pursue a master's at TU Delft in the Netherlands. Sam Yen-Rei, many congratulations.
Unconventional,
不同寻常
not based on or conforming to what is generally done or believed.
不基于通常所做或所相信的事情
That's the word.
That's how we start.
That's who we are. We are the students that made the unconventional choice to attend the unconventional university.
And got an education that was far beyond what a normal education could be.
Since I choose NYU Shanghai, I can't tell you how many times I've had to explain our unconventional school. Yes, it's like NYU in New York, but in Shanghai. In China for 3 years, abroad for 1. Half Chinese students, half international. The response I always get, wow, so unconventional.
不管你是来自世界的另一端，还是黄浦江的另一端。
选的这个学校是双的未知，双的不同。
For its Chinese students, it was a major departure from the traditional path. Instead of attending university where everything was familiar, or language, or culture, or academic system. Even though we're still in China, we've stepped into a completely different world.
And for those of us coming from outside of China, we weren't just starting college. We had to relearn everything. Every app we opened. Every time a Didi driver asked us, 美国好还是中国好? Every time Sarah made full use of the phrase, 一个这个, 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 while pointing at a menu.
But let's go back to the very beginning, before we even met each other. Our class was split across the world. Chinese students started here in Shanghai, while international students, well, most of them were sent to New York.
And neither of us got quite what we were expecting. Us international students had chosen this school to be in China. In finding ourselves in New York, we couldn't help but wonder, wasn't I supposed to be in Shanghai?
I still remember stepping onto the campus the first semester and wondering, where is everyone? I had imagined this international environment, but where are the internationals?
Then the email from Dean Pei arrived. Visas secured. I got on my flight, landed in China, and I was excited, but also nervous.
我从来没有见过你们，我也不知道应该期待些什么。
But I'll never forget what happened next. A knock came at my door. It was Sebastian, with a whole welcome case of oranges. It was such a simple gesture, and I didn't know what to say, but it meant everything.
Meeting my internet friends in real life is a true Zoom to reality moment. My designer NYU Shanghai buddy Kiet, my GPS classmate Selena, we felt so close on Zoom, but we're just folding heads on screens. Who would have known Talita has 5 pairs of same Converse, all in different colors, to perfectly match every outfit?
That was the moment that NYU Shanghai stopped being a concept. It became reality.
And it felt like home.
But just when we were starting to find our rhythm, Shanghai hit pause. Lockdowns, quarantines, and a whole new reality.
Unprecedented times. Everyone has their COVID stories, but the class of 2025, ours are next level.
疫情化，我们在宿舍里隔离了3个月，谁能忘记以物还物？我给你2个土豆，你给我1个鸡蛋，可以吗？
还有，我们怎么都变成了药神？谁要是缺药，群里马上有人回复，我还有4盒莲花清瘟，需要分你1盒吗？
I still remember how the highlight of our week became the Lehman emails. We'd get the notification, run into the hall, and yell, Lehman email! And like clockwork, the entire remaining crew from floor 8 would crowd around to read it together.
I mean, who could forget the line?
We are Shanghai.
COVID shaped our circumstances, but what truly defined our time was how we were to show up for one another.
Slipping meals under doors, ordering group food orders, or just sending a simple, you okay?
That's how we stayed connected.
And that connection, it didn't end with COVID.
It was in every moment, it was in every challenge we faced.
Every moment we pushed here together throughout the NYU Shanghai experience.
Our journey at NYU Shanghai was exciting.
It was terrifying,
It was
frustrating,
受益匪浅的，
absolutely worth it.
真的很值得。Because here's the thing most people don't understand.
When you throw yourself into something unconventional, something uncertain, it has a potential to exceed every expectation. And that's exactly what happened.
NYU Shanghai is not just a university. It's not just a campus. It's an experiment in what education can be when you challenge what's expected, academically, culturally, even geographically.
Think about it. We don't just learn from textbooks, we learn from each other. In every classroom discussion, in every late night conversation, we challenge each other, question our assumptions, and sometimes completely changed our minds.
Like that night in New York, when a simple comment on subway safety turned into a full debate on the balance between privacy and security.
And that was just one of the countless moments we're not just studying global issues, we were living them. Because our education wasn't confined to one city or one perspective.
We don't just come from different parts of the world. We lived in different parts of the world. Shanghai, Abu Dhabi, New York, London.
And because of that, we learned the world is not something you read about.
It's something you navigate, something you shape.
During all these experiences, we've learned to adapt to different languages, different expectations, different ways of thinking.
And along the way, maybe even more importantly,
We became more than classmates.
one of the hardest parts about being an international student at NYU Shanghai is leaving family behind. Not just for a semester, but for years. Holidays, birthdays, even small, everyday moments. We miss those. But our classmates, they became our family.
A family where we could support each other, even when our biological families were thousands of miles away.
Thanksgiving at NYU Shanghai meant recreating home. Sophia brought mac and cheese. Matt brought pancit canton. And we all ran across Shanghai, hunting down, of all things, butter. That night, our tiny kitchen was chaos. Flour everywhere. Emma's butter chicken smeared across the ceiling. The fire alarm going off.
Wait, that was you, Sam?
Well, it was Clara Arkloggy's vegan cook.
Clara!
But it felt like home. And sometimes, our Chinese friends would welcome us into their families. Tokyo, my freshman year roommate, invited me to Qingdao for Spring Festival. We made dumplings, drank baijiu, and set off fireworks on the beach. Even though I wasn't with my own family, it felt like I was part of one.
In New York, we celebrated Chinese New Year with friends around the world. We watched Chunwan and played mahjong together. It felt just like home. And that's our community. Whenever we go, we'll always have a classmate, a friend, a family.
And that's the real education we received here. Not just facts and theories, but the ability to communicate across cultures, collaborate across differences, and lead in places where there is no clear roadmap.
And now, as we step into the world, we take that with us. The ability to navigate uncertainty, to embrace complexity, and thrive in unfamiliar.
我们说真话，我们的未来也会是不同寻常的。
We've already done what most people would think to be impossible.
We built a home wherever we were in the world.
现在，我们将这种精神带进公司、政府、实验室，带进世界的不同角落，带进我们所选择建设的未来。
So, to our fellow unstoppable, boundary-breaking, unconventional classmates,
Let's go change the world.
in a way only we can.
Congratulations, class of 2025! And now, let's welcome Chancellor Tong Shijun to the stage to welcome the class of 2025.
Distinguished guests, dear colleagues, dear students, and dear loved ones. As Chancellor and a proud representative of NYU Shanghai community. Let me begin by extending my heartfelt congratulations to the class of 2025. Today marks the culmination of your journey of dedication and growth, and the beginning of an exciting new chapter in your life's journey. Congratulations to all of you. This year, for the first time, we are holding commencement on our own campus. You are the first undergraduate cohort in NYU Shanghai's history to graduate in the very place where you began your journey at orientation. For that, I offer my sincere congratulations as well. Taking part in the commencement in the very place where your academic journey began reminds me of a recent experience I had cycling around the Yuandang Lake on the border of Shanghai and Suzhou. As I approached the end of the ride, I found myself gradually cycling back to where I started. Completing the journey with not only a sense of closure, but also a sense of fulfillment. Strictly speaking, of course, the idea of life's fulfillment may forever remain an ideal, something we strive toward but never fully attain. Yet, this does not diminish the value of the moments along the way when the path of our journey briefly folds back upon itself and two seemingly distant points converge. These moments are neither mere repetitions nor simple returns. They are rather instances of a deep reflection, like seeing a familiar place with new eyes, or recognizing the past from a higher vantage point. It is precisely for this reason that these moments in life tend to bring us joy and move us deeply. This overlap can be temporal. Consider how we mark birthdays, whether personal, collective, or even historical. We return to the same day each year, each decade, or each century, not to simply live the past, relive the past, but to deepen our experience of it. This overlap can also be spatial. By revisiting familiar places, the present self meets the past self in the same location. By visiting historical relics, we imagine ourselves meeting people from previous generations who once stood where we now stand. Sometimes the reunion of the two otherwise distant points along life's path can be both temporal and spatial. This year happens to be the 50th anniversary of my time spent working at a farm in nearby Zhongming Island. Just 2 months ago, I made a journey back there. As I walked along the same ditches and ridges that I had once traversed countless times as a young rice field manager, I was deeply moved. Today is a day to celebrate your successful completion of 4 years of study. On such an occasion, I should not have spoke too much of myself. Yet, as Chancellor, I feel a responsibility and a privilege to share a few heartfelt reflections. And so, if you will allow me, I would like to offer 4 thoughts drawn from my own experiences in the hope that they may resonate with you. The first idea I wish to share is the importance of always striving forward, no matter the circumstances. Many of you are likely familiar with Albert Einstein's words, famous words. Life is like riding a bicycle. In order to keep your balance, you must keep moving. As a cyclist myself, I not only agree with Einstein's insights, but I would like to add a personal reflection of mine. Life is like cycling around a lake. Only by continuing forward can we truly appreciate the sense of fulfillment. Moving forward is essential to experiencing a sense of fulfillment. However, true fulfillment is possible only when there is a meaningful point of origin, something worthy of our efforts to return to and to reflect upon. In fact, every moment in life has the potential of becoming a point of origin like that for the journey that follows. So the second idea I wish to share with you today is that at every moment, strive to make today, this very moment, a place worthy overlapping in the future. A milestone that continue to inspire and propel you forward when you move ahead. But let us not mystify every single stop along life's journey. Being obsessed with never wasting a moment can transform those very moments, each variable in its own right, into a mere means to an end. So the third idea I wish to share with you is that the effort to create a meaningful point of origin, one worthy of future reunion, is certainly best begun as early as possible. But it is never too late to begin and to begin again. The small efforts we make each day, each hour, continuously reshape the path we have already traveled, redefining the footprints we leave behind. Of course, effort is important, but effort alone is not everything. If fulfillment came whenever we make our effort, it would be too easily won. What moved me most, actually, as I walked once again along the ditches and ridges I had traversed 50 years ago, was not my efforts, actually, but also the chance, not only my efforts, but also the chance and the fortune I encountered along the way. Therefore, the fourth idea I want to share with you is that when it comes to the life's encounter with chance, we should neither place too heavy a burden on them, allowing ourselves to be at the chance's mercy, nor dismiss their importance entirely, attributing all of our success or failure to ourselves, to our own efforts. Life's journey will not always be filled with serenity and sunshine like today. What we must do is cherish chances, enjoy learning, and transform fleeting moments of chance into lasting personal growth. In doing so, even negative experiences will become part of a positive and meaningful harvest, as we just learned from our wonderful student speakers. Speaking of the challenges and setbacks you may encounter ahead, even again, I'm reminded of a Norwegian proverb I love. Det finnes ikke dårlig vær dårlig klær. There is no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Over the past 4 years at NYU Shanghai, your professors, together with your families, and with support from across the community, have endeavored to fully prepare you for the journey of life, equipping you with the warm, resilient clothing that will help you in whatever weather lies ahead. But today, our work comes to an end. From this day forward, I hope you have learned how to clothe yourselves for the road ahead, how to adapt, to persevere, and to grow. And more importantly, I hope that when you leave this campus, you not only know how to shield yourselves from the storm, you not only have the strength to do so, but also have the wisdom and the courage to help make the climate better for the general public. And what I hope most of all is, of course, at this moment, that every time we meet again, especially on your graduation anniversary and on the university's birthday, I will find you even stronger, even happier than you are today. Thank you all. Yes. Now I would like to invite our lovely Vice Chancellor Lemon to make his speech. Please.
Thank you, Chancellor Tong. Members of the class of 2025, Hernan Diaz is a cosmopolitan. He spent the first 25 years of his life living in Sweden, Argentina, and London. In 1999, he moved to New York so that he could do graduate study at New York University. Right now, he lives in Brooklyn. During your second semester as a student at NYU Shanghai in the spring of 2022, Hernan Diaz published his second novel, Trust. During your fourth semester as a student at NYU Shanghai in the spring of 2023, Trust was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for fiction. The book tells the story of Andrew Bevel and Mildred Bevel, a fictional couple from 100 years ago. The book is unusual because it tells Andrew and Mildred's story in 4 different ways. First, through the words of Harold Vanner, a writer who wrote a nasty novel about them. Second, through the words of Andrew Bevel himself, as he spoke them to a young typist writer named Ida Partenza. Third, through the words of Ida Partenza herself, as she describes her return to the Bevel home, which had been turned into a museum, 50 years after she worked with Andrew Bevel. And then fourth, through the words of Mildred Bevel, as she wrote them into a secret diary. Trust is a magnificent novel with a lot to say about wealth, power, art, relationships, and how we should think about truth when people are looking at the world from many different perspectives. But this morning, I want to focus on just one sentence from the book. The sentence comes in the section where Ida Partenza is speaking. She describes a moment when she told her father what it had been like to be a typist. She says, "The word I was typing was always in the past, while the word I was thinking of was always in the future, which left the present oddly uninhabited." The word I was typing was always in the past, while the word I was thinking of was always in the future, which left the present oddly uninhabited. Think about yourself right now. Your life as a student at NYU Shanghai is now in the past. The rest of your life is now in the future. The present, today, is oddly uninhabited. The present is always a bridge between past and future. And much of the work of life is an effort to make that bridge meaningful. It is creating and then recreating a story that links who you have been with who you will be. A story that is both authentic and gratifying. How should you carry out that work of life? I have 5 modest suggestions to offer you today. First, try to write a story that includes more characters than just yourself. The research on happiness shows that the key to a meaningful life lies in your relationships with others, with family and friends. To be sure, relationships add challenges and difficulty, but at the end of the day, People are meant to live social lives. Second, try to write a story that has several subplots. If you focus on doing just one thing, you might do that one thing better than if you are doing several different kinds of things, but you probably won't. And you will definitely be a boring person. Third, try to write a story that is set in more than one location. Your experience at NYU Shanghai pushed you to live in 2 or 3 of the world's great cities. You know how stimulating it is to implant yourself in a new place. Make sure you keep experiencing that kind of stimulation. Fourth, write a story that is partly a comedy. Don't take yourself too seriously. And understand that the essence of great comedy is surprise. I promise you that your life will include many, many surprises. Be ready for them. And be ready to find the humor in those surprises, especially in those surprises that are disappointing, because inevitably disappointments will come. Fifth, and most importantly, whenever you rewrite your story, link your past to more than one possible future. Don't try to create a rigid life plan that will go from A to B to C to D. Instead, understand that there is no way to be confident about what your life will be in 10 years. Think about how you might spend your next 2 or 3 years well, and then in 2 or 3 years, plan to do it again. If you continuously rewrite your story with those 5 suggestions in mind, you will notice something surprising. As you rewrite your story over the years, what you say about your own past will change. At the age of 22, you will write one thing about what it was like when you were 10 years old. When you rewrite your story at the age of 32, you will say something different about what it was like when you were 10. And when you rewrite your story again at the age of 42, your understanding of your own childhood will have changed once more. Life will keep bringing you new insights into your own past. Relish those insights. Be grateful for them. Members of the NYU Shanghai class of 25, as you embark on lives of worth and purpose, lives of service to a world that desperately needs you, let me conclude by offering a few hopes that we, your teachers, hold for you. May you enjoy the special pleasures of craft, the private satisfaction of doing a task as well as it can be done. May you enjoy the special pleasures of profession, the added satisfaction of knowing that your efforts promote a larger public good. May you be blessed with good luck, and also with the wisdom to appreciate when you have been lucky rather than skillful. May you find ways to help others under circumstances where they cannot possibly know that you have done so. May you be patient and gentle and tolerant without becoming smug, self-satisfied, or arrogant. May you always be able to confess ignorance, doubt, vulnerability, and uncertainty. May you build long and loving relationships with people whom you respect and trust. May you be an author who writes and rewrites a satisfying story that connects your past to your future in authentic and gratifying ways. May you know enough bad weather that you never take sunshine for granted, and enough good weather that your faith in the coming of spring is never shaken. May you be able to travel frequently beyond the places that are comfortable, beyond the places that are familiar, so that your appreciation for the miraculous diversity of life grows ever stronger. And may your steps lead you often back to Shanghai, back to Pudong, back to the New Bund. For you will always be members of the NYU Shanghai family, and we will always be happy to welcome you home. We are Shanghai. The Chancellor's Medal of Honor. The Chancellor's Medal of Honor recognizes the achievements. Whoops, excuse me a second here. It recognizes the achievements of people who have worked to promote the values that our university cherishes. We are proud to be able to present this year's Chancellor's Medal of Honor to Mr. Kong Xiangdong. A native Shanghainese, wait a second, I'm going to talk about you for a little while. A native Shanghainese, Kong began to study the piano at a very young age. He enrolled at the music middle school affiliated to the Shanghai Conservatory of Music in 1981, and he held his debut solo recital in Shanghai at the age of 18. In 1988, he pursued advanced studies at the Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia, and he performed at the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts in New York City later that year. He has won many, many prestigious awards, including a gold medal at the 1988 Gina Bachauer International Piano Competition, first prize at the 1992 Sydney International Piano Competition, and a bronze medal at the 1986 International Tchaikovsky Competition. Kong has performed in over 40 countries so far and is one of China's most influential pianists. Kong has bridged nations. He has bridged different cultures through music. He was the first Chinese musician to hold a piano recital at the Musikverein Golden Hall of Vienna, as well as the first Chinese pianist to perform at the Hollywood Bowl in California. He also performed at the historic Sino-Korean Diplomatic Conference in South Korea. Kong is committed to music education and philanthropy, founded music institutes around China to nurture young talents. Through benefit concerts and cross-disciplinary collaborations, he has also raised awareness among the public about autism and Alzheimer's disease. I now invite Chancellor Tong to present this year's Chancellor's Medal of Honor to Mr. Kong Xiangdong. Let's welcome Kong Xiangdong to the podium.
Thank you so very, very much. Wow.
Wow, it's heavy, and it's definitely beautiful. Dear Chancellor Tong Shijun, Vice Chancellor Jeffrey Lehman, Provost Wally Cohen, Provost Dopico, faculty and staff members of NYU Shanghai, dear class of 2025 and your families, and all friends of NYU Shanghai join us today. Good morning, everyone. Today, standing on this campus, a symbol of diversity and convergence, I'm filled with both excitement and deep emotions. As a native Shanghainese, I played the piano at the Lincoln Center in New York and in Vienna's Golden Hall. But with this wonderful opportunity to share such a once-a-lifetime moment with more than 400 graduates and more than 400 graduates from 44 countries and regions is certainly the greatest honor of my life. As a child, my mother drew me a cardboard piano keyboard. And she said, music isn't in the piano. Music is in your heart. Those humble keys taught me that true creations begin with breaking through reality. At 16, I debuted in Shanghai. At 17, I wrestled with Rachmaninoff elephantine compositions on the world musical stages. And during my battle with depression, I clung to music. It's my last lifeline. So my life has always been a dialogue with the impossible. Class of 2025, the world you are about to enter may be more complex than the 88 keys of the piano. But remember, the world ultimately belongs to those who dare to reimagine it. Just like NYU Shanghai, born from Sino-US collaboration and the global vision. It proves that difference is the very starting point of innovation. You are all made in NYU Shanghai, and the different is the most powerful label. 35 years ago, my mentor, Professor Van der Ley, spent his final days playing his beloved Rachmaninoff in the air. He once taught me to live toward death is the best way to embrace life itself. He also said, to become a master, you must first stand firmly on your own feet. Today, I pass these words to every graduate. True success lies not in externally defined glory, but in whether you dare to redefine yourself in the darkest valleys. My 8 years struggle with depression taught me life's black keys, the hardship, are as vital as its white keys, the hope. When I nearly stepped off a balcony in the storm, a melody pulled my soul back. And the music whispered to my ear, darkness is not the end. It's a prelude to light. No matter what challenges come, trust that when heaven closes the window, it opens the door. To me, music is bandage for the soul. And a language beyond borders. I have used it to bridge China and South Korea at diplomatic concerts. Improvise healing melodies for children with autism. And compose musical portraits for frontline medical workers. These experiences convince me music is love. Learning music is learning to love. And the essence of love is listening and resonance. Today, you may not all be musicians, but each of you is a composer of life. Whether through code, equations, business plans, or social initiatives, let your masterpiece carry these three notes. First, truth. Like a piano's steel frame, enduring time's test. Second, goodness. Like a child tiptoeing to donate. Small acts, but change the world. Third, beauty. Like a Rachmaninoff's melodies, forging order from chaos. Finally, I would like to offer an improvisation on the piano. For you all today. Well, this music never existed before. Born because of you. So too is your future. Unbound by pre-written scores, breaking boundaries, making mistakes, and compose a concerto uniquely yours in the imperfect. Remember, rhythm defines life's beauty. Whether racing or posing, move to your inner tempo. If you ever feel lost, think of this campus in Pudong's Qiantan, where a group of bold reimaginers let the world hear the extraordinary echo of a made in NYU Shanghai. Painted with love, courage, and diversity. May your future shine bright and your dreams flourish. Thank you, and I love you all. something you pass on the strong message to all of you and NYU Shanghai. I love you all. Thanks.
And now I am pleased to announce the presentation of the candidates for degrees. It is my honor to introduce to you Professor David Atwill, Dean of Arts and Sciences, Professor Chunyu Shin, Dean of Business, and Professor Nasir Memon, Dean of Computer Science, Data Science, and Engineering. They will present the candidates for their bachelor's degrees.
Chancellor Tong, Vice Chancellor Lehman, Provost Whaley Cohen, Provost DePico, I am pleased to present to you 171 candidates for bachelor's degrees in arts and sciences. Will graduates please rise to be recognized for the degrees for which I recommend conferral? Arts and sciences, please rise. You may now be seated.
Chancellor Tong, Vice Chancellor Lehman, Provost Whaley Cohen, and Provost DePico. I'm pleased to present to you the 115 candidates for bachelor's degrees in business. Will graduates be rise to the recognition for your degrees? I'm recommending for conferral. Congratulations. You now may be seated. Thank you.
Chancellor Tong, Vice Chancellor Lehman, Provost Whaley Cohen, and Provost DePico. I now present to you 106 candidates for degrees in computer science, data science, and engineering. Graduates, please rise. Thank you.
上海纽约大学2025届学生，你们顺利完成了上海纽约大学本科专业培养计划，经校学位委员会的审议，授予你们学士学位。
Members of the class of 2025, through your successful efforts, as certified by the recommendations of your Chancellor and Vice Chancellor, you deserve to receive this hallmark of New York University. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees, I admit you to the degrees and certificates for which you have been recommended. It's official, you are NYU Shanghai graduates. Congratulations.
Since 1911, New York University has embraced as its symbol of intellectual illumination the NYU torch. Our first class of graduates at NYU Shanghai, the class of 2017, designed a special torch for NYU Shanghai. Reflecting our special double identity, the NYU Shanghai torch incorporates elements of the New York University torch together with elements from China's cultural heritage. The NYU commencement ceremonies in New York have, since 1938, featured a special moment when the NYU torch is passed from one member of the community to another. And we have incorporated such a moment in our own ceremonies as well. A member of the graduating class passes the NYU Shanghai torch to a member of the next class, reflecting the passing of their legacy of leadership to the students who will succeed them as seniors next year. So, I now call upon Desiree Harmon from the class of 2025 to pass the NYU Shanghai torch to Daniel Walk from the class of 2026. And now it is time for the singing of the NYU Shanghai alma mater. This memorable song was composed by Jeremy Hissong, Runjong Joyce Tan, and Professor Diana Heldman to celebrate our special cross-cultural identity. We will be led in the alma mater by the NYU Shanghai Octave Fusion under the direction of Professor Catherine Gervin, with piano accompaniment by Professor Chun Wei.
We have come to stand together, soon we'll part our separate ways, but we leave behind our legacy to light another's way.
We will build on our foundation, cross the mountains and the seas, giving rise to strength and unity for all the see, giving rise to strength and unity for all the world to see. We are Shanghai, we're the city of lights. We are Shanghai, and the future is bright. We're chasing horizons, dispel the dark and rise to brightness and love for all lands. The world is not too big for us to be friends.
一天下为己任，一世界为何他？
我们点亮盏盏，为光照亮彼此方向。我们点亮盏盏，为光照亮前行方向。We are Shanghai, we're the city of lights. We are Shanghai, and the future is bright. We're chasing horizons, dispel the dark and rise to brightness and love for all lands. The world is not too big. The world is not too big for us to live. We've opened up our minds. Shanghai, we're reaching for the sky. Shanghai, united together, we breathe this air, bridging our nations, the lands to come. We are Shanghai, we're the city of lights. We are Shanghai, and the future is in Shanghai. 这就是流光溢彩。We are Shanghai, 像一场歌曲精彩。We're chasing horizons, dispel the dark and rise to brightness and love for all lands. 听世界在召唤，未来用力我屠宰，边憧憬边勇敢。The world is not too big for all of us to sing. The world is not too big to live without live hard. We're reaching for the sky. We are Shanghai.
Before we conclude, I want to invite everyone to turn back and look towards the tree and then look up. We want to give a wave as our drone flies by to capture one final moment of our celebration of the class of 2025. Thank you.
上海纽约大学2025届本科生毕业典礼到此结束，谢谢大家。
This concludes the NYU Shanghai Class of 2025 commencement ceremonies. Thank you all for joining us on this historic occasion.
请全体毕业生起立，跟随领队依次离场。请观众保持安坐，让毕业生先行离场。
We now ask our graduates to please stand and follow your seating marshal. We ask our guests to remain seated until all of our graduates have completed the recessional.